are empanadas, Filipino beef empanadas. This baked, flaky, and buttery crust is filled with a tomato-based beef filling that is sweet and savory. Keep watching till the end on how to make this sweet, simple, and crowd-pleasing empanada. For the dough/crust, I'm adding 2 cups of flour and 3 tablespoons of sugar, and I'm going to whisk these two together. Now for the wet ingredients, I'm adding 2 egg yolks, 3 tablespoons of melted butter. I melted the butter in the microwave for 20 seconds, and a half a cup of cold water. And I'm going to combine and stir the ingredients together. I'm pouring the dough on a clean surface, and the goal here is to form a smooth ball. While kneading, if the dough is too dry, add a tablespoon of water. So you're going to do a tablespoon of water in increments. If you feel that it's too wet and it just keeps sticking, then go ahead and add a tablespoon of flour, and this will help the dough as you are kneading it. For best results and to help the dough relax, I'm going to refrigerate overnight. You want to at least refrigerate for 20 minutes before you use the dough. This helps it relax and stretch better as you feel it. For the filling, I'm adding a pound of ground beef, I'm browning the ground beef for about 8 minutes or so. It's going to brown and continue to cook as I add more ingredients. I'm adding 4 baby gold potatoes. You can also use 1 medium potato. I'm adding a tablespoon of black pepper and a teaspoon of salt, more or less to taste. And I'm doing this over medium-high heat. And I'm just going to combine and stir everything together. I'm adding a 1/4 quarter of an onion, 3 garlic cloves, and continue to stir. As the potatoes start to soften and the meat starts to brown, I'm adding 8 ounces of tomato sauce, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. I'm stirring and combining everything all together. I'm combining and cooking for another 5 minutes or so. I just want to make sure that my potatoes are soft. And then I'm going to go ahead and throw in a 1/2 cup of peas and a 1/2 cup of carrots. And I went ahead and used frozen peas and carrots, but you can also use fresh carrots. Turn the heat down to low and go ahead and cover for a couple minutes. And then turn off the stove and let the food cool to touch. Move my dough from the refrigerator and I'm letting it rest for 5 minutes. Use a rolling pin if you have one. If not, that's okay. But I'm going to take the dough and I'm going to divide it into 12 small balls. So I'm just breaking apart the dough and I'm going to roll it into a ball, just like this. So here I have 12 little balls. I'm I'm adding a little flour to a clean surface, and this will help me flatten out the dough, so that way I can get a perfect crust and empanada to fill. You can also flatten this out by placing it in between two parchment papers. I just find this easier for some reason. But I went ahead and flattened it out with my hand a little bit, and then I'm going to use the pin to kind of stretch it out. And you'll see how the flour helps the dough come apart easily. And you can just tell by the texture and the look of the dough that it was refrigerated and perfect. Now I'm adding filling, and I want to make sure that the filling is in the center, not too close to the edges, so that way it doesn't leak out. And I removed the dough from the refrigerator earlier. Letting it rest for just that 5 minutes really helps the dough keep its shape, and it's just easier to fold. And so I placed it in the center, and again, you want to make sure that it's in the center and not close to the edges, because the grease won't allow the empanada to fill properly. And it's okay if you get a little filling on the outside. It's perfectly fine. You just want to make sure that most of it is in the center. So now I'm carefully removing the empanada from a clean surface. Again, sprinkling that flour really helps. And this is how it looks. So now I'm going to crimp the empanada by using a fork. Now I'm just gently pressing down, and I'm crimping all the way through. Look how cute this is. Now I'm going to place this on parchment paper on a baking sheet. So I'm going to show you again how to make an empanada with the filling. Again, dust a clean surface with flour, go ahead and pound against it. And I'm going to take a rolling pin and flatten it out. And since I'm going to be making these empanadas right away, I went ahead and preheated the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So don't forget to do that. So if you didn't have a rolling pin, that's okay too. You can go ahead and continue to pound against it like I was doing earlier, and just use your fingers to spread it apart. So instead of leaving the dough on a flat surface, I'm going to show you how you can go ahead and add the filling with the dough in your hand. Some people prefer this way. It's a little bit more easier. And I'm going to just make sure that the filling has, the peas and the carrots, and that everything is in this one empanada. So that way when, you take your first bite, you're getting a bite of everything, all the flavors. I'm sealing the edges, and I'm just going to do this around. Just get your fork and go ahead and crimp the edges. You can also braid this empanada. That's a different technique. It's actually not hard at all, and I'll show you how to do that on a future recipe. Ta-da! Look how cute this is! For the coating or egg wash, I'm adding 1 egg yolk and 1 teaspoon of water, and I'm just going to stir this up. And I'm going to coat the empanadas, and this is what's going to allow it to be flaky and buttery. And it's perfect because it's not fried, so a little less guilt. It's baked, but it's kind of like in the middle. When it's done, it's just so good. I'm baking the empanadas at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 40 minutes. And look how perfect they turned out. You did it, friends! Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed these Filipino beef empanadas. They are sweet and savory with a tomato-based filling. It has veggies and ground beef. The crust is flaky and buttery. It's warm. It is so good. I hope you found this recipe easy to follow. I hope you enjoyed it. If you loved this recipe, follow me on Instagram at Reese's Recipes for more easy, simple, and delicious recipes. Thanks so much for watching, friends. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Many blessings.